Hello everyone and welcome to WGBS TV Live, brought to you by SupermanHomepage.com, the #1 Superman fan site in the world. My name is Steve Eunice. In this, our August 25th, 2020 show, we're going to be covering a range of topics, including DC FanDome, the lack of content in DC FanDome. We're going to be talking about Justice League Snyder Cut, the trailer. We're going to be talking about so much more. And we're going to turn to you to take your questions and comments on any particular Superman topic you would like to discuss. And to let you know how all that works and how you can get involved in tonight's show, let me introduce you to my co-host, Mr. Michael Bailey. Hey, Mike.
Hey, Steve. How's it going?
Doing well. And yourself?
Well, I'm doing okay. And just to let everybody know, there will be Superman content in this episode. I promise. We promise Superman content. We deliver Superman content. And WGBS Live is all about Superman, and therefore we want to hear from the Superman fans that are watching us live right now on YouTube. So about halfway through the show, and if we don't have all that much to talk about, which this is one of those weeks where we have a lot to talk about, we'll try to start taking your calls. So how does that work? Well, it's pretty simple, and the directions are right here. You need Skype. Go on Skype, search for Superman Homepage, and message us that you'd like to be on the show. Now, here's a couple of important things. One, message us. Don't just call, because that can kind of screw things up. And two, if you're using an external speaker to watch WGBS Live, please turn that down before we actually get you on the line, because we're on a bit of a delay, and that causes a weird feedback thing.
Yes, indeed. And for those tuning in live via YouTube to watch tonight's show, we invite you to join in and chat with fellow fans, post your comments and ask questions. And Michael and I will keep an eye on those comments throughout the show, so get involved. Now, if you want to comment your comment featured live on screen during the show, feel free to post a super chat. All you have to do is click on the dollar bill symbol in the chat screen. A slider will appear on your screen. You decide on a dollar amount that you're prepared to donate to the show, and we will feature your comment or question on screen as we go live. And a huge thank you to our sponsors and patrons, Douglas Meacham, Tina Murray, and John Patrick Van Pelt. Well, Michael, as you mentioned, we do have Superman content in the next hour of show that we have here tonight. It is also the last Tuesday of the month, being the 25th of August. So we also have our monthly segment. So before we get into the DC FanDome chat, I thought we'd probably best off kicking off with our regular monthly segments. And we like to do that with the super secret soundbite.
Only one thing alive with less than 4 legs can hear this frequency, Superman, and that's you.
And the super secret soundbite from last month came from where in the world of Superman did it come from, Michael?
That came from the Justice League movie theatrical cut.
Yes, indeed. So
That's important.
We have to make that delineation that this was from the theatrical cut of the Justice League movie. And to remind you what it was, here is that sound once again.
I take it back. I want to die.
So that was Henry Cavill's Superman talking about the pain that he was in after he and Cyborg were able to separate the mother boxes from each other, and having a bit of a giggle there on the floor. So who guessed where that sound came from, Michael?
That was Mike Zumo, Larry J., Bobby Sperling, and Stephen Marshall.
Congratulations, guys, for guessing where in the world of Superman that sound came from. Here's the new sound for September, the super secret soundbite for the new month. Here it is. Check it out.
Hey, what's up with my man hands?
Great Scott! I'm in Batman's suit.
Not just my suit, Superman. Mixius Pitilix played musical chairs with our minds.
So, do you think you know where in the world of Superman that sound comes from? It's a bit of an obscure one. A couple of voices there might help give it away. If you think you know where it's from, head to the Superman homepage, go under the contact menu, you will find a super secret soundbite entry form, and you will be able to send your entry in, and we will read the names out of every person who guesses it right when we return to this segment at the end of September.
Yes.
So we've got a super sticker there from Jason saying, pair character lifting some weights saying, keep it up. I'm not sure what that was all about. Maybe you can explain it to us. But we appreciate the super chat. All right, well, get involved in the super secret soundbite entry segment for this month, and we will read out the names of people who guessed it right when we return to this segment. But now let's move into the big question segment of our show.
Let's start with the big question.
So, Michael, what was our big question for last month?
Superman in politics. Where do you stand?
Very interesting question. What's your take, personally, before we get into the respondents?
By his very nature, from the inception of the character, Superman's a political character. When you launch your career as the champion of the weak and the oppressed, you're making a statement about where you stand politically. And many of the things he did in his early days kind of go up to that, kind of point to that. Tearing down tenements so that the government will have to rebuild it. Yeah, so that's putting yourself firmly in a certain political camp. As he evolved, it was truth, justice, and the American way. By saying the American way, you are, again, making a political statement. I used to not like Superman to be used in, editorial strips and such for one side or the other. I've kind of mellowed on that. I think there have been many times where Superman has taken a stand politically in the comics, from telling the president that he doesn't work for him in the post-crisis, to renouncing his citizenship in Action Comics number 900, to the speech that back in '98 when they were doing all the books were doing like Superman of a particular era. John Bogdanove and Louise Simonson had Superman making a giant speech about what he stands for. So I think there are ways to do ham-fisted ways of melding the two, but I really think just deep down the character is political, just because of how he was created.
Yeah, 100%. He's always been political, whether or not you agree with that or whether or not you like politics in your story. There's no doubting the fact that Superman's always taken on political figures and taken a stance in a particular political manner. And there's been some ham-fisted ones. There's been some very obvious ones, meeting certain presidents or, working with certain presidents, becoming king of the world himself. There have been, very many political stories, even during the war, especially taking on the Nazis and, getting Stalin and, Hitler and Mussolini or one of those other dictator type characters to combat each other rather than to have their troops fight the battles for them. So there've been different political messages across Superman from the very get-go. So, but let's see what our fans and people who watch the show thought with this particular question on Superman and politics.
Yeah, we'll start with Justin Suarez. I hope I pronounced that correctly, Justin. You know the rules at a dinner party, Steve. No politics or religion at the table. I would rather talk about Superman any day. That's fair.
Yeah, fair enough. Yes, we all know those rules, but Superman, so as we said, can be political. Bobby Sperling wrote in saying, I think you can have a political narrative in a story, obviously. However, when it moves from being part of a well-formed plot to unintelligent propaganda, it becomes a problem. I truly believe you should be able to read a Superman story no matter what side of the political aisle you are on. Both The Dark Knight Returns and DC Legends 1980s pokes at Ronald Reagan. It is not a major plot point. It is not the main thrust of the story. Superman unites, not divides. Nice point.
Yeah, but see, the thing is that by saying Superman unites and doesn't divide, that in and of itself is a political statement. I mean, this is the sticky wicket of this.
Yes.
Is that when you get into the nuts and bolts of this conversation, everything's political. It's like when Tim Minchin in a song was joking that everything's chemicals. Like people say we don't want chemicals, but everything's chemicals, everything's political. And by saying, he unites us, you are making a statement that is where you stand. And whether uniting or dividing, those are two very specific ways of trying to convince people to follow your path. And yes, obviously we want more uniting, but you have to at least acknowledge that by saying that you're making a statement about it.
Mm-hmm. Indeed. Who's next?
And next up is Ron Crosby. I'm absolutely for politics and social issues in Superman stories 100%. But I admit I like it when it's done in a subtle way and not hammered in. Take, for example, the CW TV show The Flash. Iris and Barry are an interracial couple. Race never comes up. The police captain is gay, but is only mentioned in passing and not made a big deal of because it shouldn't be. Lead by example. Perfect. Supergirl and Batwoman, on the other hand, it really hammered in and feels like it's too much.
I have to say I agree with Ron in a lot of ways, and I've heard this complaint from family members who watch the shows that and used exactly the same example. The Flash just makes it seamless that they're just part of the story. Where I haven't watched Batwoman, but in Supergirl they do seem to hammer you over the head with it a lot more than the Flash does. It just in the Flash it's normalized. It's just part of the story. Whereas Supergirl, they really want to really push that agenda.
I think to a certain extent that it's talking, like Supergirl and Batwoman are talking to two different, and as compared to the Flash, are talking to two different audiences. While the Flash does have an interracial couple, that is not as much of a big deal as it was maybe even 20, 30 years ago. I'm not saying that there are people out there that don't want interracial couples. Obviously there are. But it's more quote-unquote normalized, where LGBTQ representation is still in its infancy of being accepted instead of being a punchline. For the trans community, Dreamer is a big deal because for the first time on a superhero show, they literally see somebody who is themselves. Not only is it a trans character, it's a trans actor playing that character. Mm. So it's one of those things where Steven hits it kind of on the nail, head on the nail, is it's whatever your personal preference is. There are people that love it to be right in your face. And there are other people that are like, oh my God, I agree with you, but can we please stop talking about this? And it's like one of those things where both of those need to be there.
Hmm. Yeah, no,
so
I'm with
you. That's just me.
Yeah. All right. Next up.
Badri Bali wrote, in my opinion, it depends on how it's handled and if the story calls for any sort of issues to tackle that might be considered political by some and not by others. For example, there's the 1998 Superman Annual number 10 Death Sentence, which deals with Clark Kent trying to get a convict off death row while also being tormented by visions of the three Phantom Zone criminals from the Pocket universe he put to death himself. Or 1990's The Sinbad Contract, which tackled Islamophobia. It's whatever your particular flavor is that you prefer.
Yep. Jack Holloway wrote in, he said, I feel that having hints of political commentary here and there can add a sense of reality to the DC universe and make the stories feel more personal in a world filled with superheroes, aliens, etc. However, when writers attempt to pander to specific groups of readers, it comes off as lazy and cheap. Superman is a character that represents the best of us, so I see no reason to involve politics and push away readers who will inevitably disagree with whatever satire any writer can come up with. And that's another point, I guess, is that if you're trying to push a particular political agenda, you sometimes come off as being one-sided. But sometimes Superman's got to stand for something that maybe doesn't align with a particular political point of view.
And again, not to keep beating the same dead horse, but pandering to one person is representation to another. And again, it's seeing yourself in the role or in the story. There are plenty of comics that deal with certain issues, especially again when it comes to race or LGBTQ plus issues or trans issues, which I know is part of LGBTQ. I realize that, but a person who either doesn't agree with that or isn't as plugged into that or it's not speaking to them is probably going to look at that and say, hey, this is pandering. But to the marginalized group, it might be like, oh my, thank goodness this is finally being talked about.
Yeah, exactly. No, very good point. All right, so that's the responses for this big question, and I'm glad that we got quite a few and some interesting debate on that.
Mm-hmm.
It's always good to get that, and I was like a little bit concerned when I asked the question in the first place. We were like, well, do we want to go there? But I'm glad we did, and thank you to everyone who did respond. Let's see if we can get some more respondents for our next big question, and what is that for September, Michael?
What did you think of the Superman Man of Tomorrow animated movie?
Yes, it just was released digitally this past week and will be available on Blu-ray on September 8th. So by the time you get around to answering this question, and we get back to reading out the responses at the end of September, you'll have had plenty of time to get involved with this big question for the WGBS TV live program. So get involved in the big question segment of our show. Again, you'll find the feedback form for the big question under the contact menu at supermanhomepage.com. All right, you haven't seen Man of Tomorrow yet, have you?
No, I have not.
Same.
I'm waiting for the digital, to the physical media, because I'm old and the future scares me. That and I don't want to buy it twice.
No, exactly. He says as he does a live program across the internet, you're not. Yeah. How can you be old when you're doing something that's kind of cutting edge?
I don't know. I'm doing it kind of spit and baling wire. So I was filming my panels recently. It's really funny how much I have to learn about video.
So we'll get back to the big question with our own responses to this question when we get back at the end of September. But knowing us, we'll probably speak about it well before then when it is released on September 8th. And if you do want to buy the physical copy and order yours, you can do so through our website right now. All right, well, let's get into the topics for tonight's program now that we've got the segments out of the way. And before we get into DC FanDome, there was an interesting video that was posted on the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation's website looking back at August 1982 and when Superman 3 came to the little town of High River Alta in Calgary, Canada, to film scenes for what was being depicted as Smallville. And here's a little video from that to check out when this production took place in August 1982. Get my smell for you. There's a bit of footage looking at the production of Smallville. This is when they were talking, or the film was focusing on the petrol shortage that was caused by all the oil tankers not going to the right area. There's Richard Pryor there with Richard Lester, the director. So interesting to see not just the filming and production, but the fashion. Look at the hairstyles.
Yeah, it's 80s. You can't escape that.
It did annoy me that the commentator or the reporter kept referring to Christopher Reeves. It's like, this is his third film. Get it right, surely.
Yeah, I've got a buddy that lives in that general area that was also sharing that video that they put out because he remembers when they were filming there years and years ago. So, it's always kind of cool to see that. That's I guess in a weird way I've got a similar thing going on here where They film a lot. They film a lot of movies, not just the Marvel movies, but a lot of other movies. I mean, it's a big movie studio, like 10 minutes from my house. So every once in a while, someone will say, "Hey, I spotted Chris Hemsworth at the Sprouts grocery store," and that's just got to be strange. You're sitting there, you're buying some tomatoes, and there's Thor. So. But it seemed like there it was more of a big deal of everyone coming and watching. That must have been a nightmare corralling those people so that they could shoot their scenes.
Indeed. All right, so that was just one topic, one news item I found really interesting. But let's get into DC FanDome. The event took place August 22nd, depending on where you were in the world, but August 22nd there in the US, which was Saturday. And to start with, just before everything went live, DC announced that, hey, no, we're scaling things way back. It's just way too big for us to manage. We're not having all these different categories, all these different worlds. We're just going to make it the Hall of Heroes. And it will be just... your schedule and all that kind of stuff, you can throw that out the window because it's basically just going to be a live stream and whatever we're showing is what you'll be watching. And that kind of made sense because it was like, it's all too big for just for one area, and why would you want to go put all your eggs into this big basket when probably some people won't be watching stuff that's being scheduled at the same time as something else? Just didn't make sense.
Yeah. It's funny because I don't know if this happened because of the massive layoffs that they recently had. Maybe there were some people that were scheduled to do stuff that suddenly,
are out of a job.
weren't feeling it anymore because they're about to lose their jobs. I think it was kind of disappointing for me because full disclosure, I didn't watch any of it. I was actually working on something else that day, and I was literally working on it all day. But as the day was going on, I checked social media to see when the trailers hit and such, and I was just like, well, where is the Superman content? Because they used the Superman theme. Apparently, they showed Daughtry singing "Waiting for Superman," which apparently a lot of us were doing. And then it's just like, like you said, at the last minute, they're like, oh, we're splitting this into 2 days, and we're going to have all this stuff, mostly the Superman stuff. It's going to be on this other day in September. And my first reaction to that was, that feels like you're making it easier to just cancel that. Like you're postponing it, so if you postpone it, you can then say it's been indefinitely postponed. I just think it was. I think DC got our hopes up too much, and there's a certain amount of responsibility that they bear for the disappointment that some people felt.
Yeah, for sure. And there were some technical issues. I couldn't, for the life of me, get on my iPhone, my iPad, my computer. The stream just wouldn't work for me. And I had to end up going through a YouTube feed someone had set up of the video itself, and so it wasn't through any official channel. I think it might have been through an Italian feed, and I don't know if that was set up in that way, where the different countries had their own feeds, where they had their own personalities introducing the next, segment coming up. But so that was the only way I could watch it, and so there were some technical issues. The servers just, it would play the intro, the teaser or whatever, and then it would just sit there and do nothing, and they would just be replaying the trailer. So I couldn't get it to work. But then when I went back later on, when everything was all said and done, it was just the reruns of the panels starting all over again. It worked fine. Obviously, there were some technical issues with the server not being able to cope with the amount of people who were tuning in.
Yeah, it's kind of insane to think to try to do something live, in all honesty. I realize that doing live creates more it feels more interactive.
Yeah.
And you can sit there and, watch Jim Lee live say that Batman's an underdog character. That doesn't make any sense, Jim, but whatever. And the funny thing was, when I went to bed that night, I was watching the news on one of the cable channels, and there was an ad for FanDome. And I'm like, it was the one with the Superman music, and I'm like, okay, you're still running that? And I get it. Okay, I have DirecTV as my satellite service. They are owned by AT&T, who owns Warner Brothers now. Of course, they're going to promote it. But it seems like somebody... It's always easy to sit here and second guess decisions made. But it's not like we're... DC or Warner Brothers or AT&T was unaware of the fact that there would be interest in this. Now, on one hand, was it smart to just focus on the movies and the big video games and, release the trailers and such? In a weird way, yeah, that makes a lot more sense. From a purely financial standpoint, you're wanting to cast your net as wide as humanly possible. So, and I think the movies reach more people to a certain extent than even the TV shows do. So, showing the new Wonder Woman trailer, which looked gloomier than the original one, showing the Snyder Cut trailer, which I have very specific opinions on, having the announcement of the Shazam movie, having the little animatic teaser for the Black Adam movie, that all makes perfect sense, and it got people excited. You see, it was funny because it seemed like on my social media feeds, it was split 50-50 from those that are like, oh my God, this is the greatest thing I've ever seen, and oh my God, why aren't they talking about Superman? It was kind of a funny mix. So
yeah. So let's talk about the Superman content that was there. Obviously, the Justice League, Snyder Cut, Superman's involved in that. We'll get to that in a second. We'll also get to the Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League video game coming from Rocksteady. But again, it's a Superman brainwashed by Brainiac or taken over by Brainiac. So it's an evil Superman again. There was mention of a possible Black Adam thing down the track after the first Black Adam movie. Dwayne Johnson saying, wouldn't it be great to have Superman, who has this code, go up against Black Adam, who has his own code that clash. That's all pie in the sky stuff for that to happen. That's really way down the track. Beyond that, there really wasn't anything else Superman related that came out from the August 22nd DC FanDome, other than using the Superman John Williams theme, using the Ruby Spears Superman theme. They put Superman front and center. They had Superman, Wonder Woman, Batman, these three statues that Jim Lee talked about designing the whole thing over, yet Superman was kind of glossed over. Yes, he will be in the September 12. Probably that's more Superman related for fans. So I think this is the hype for August 22nd. Had a lot of people expecting more. There were, we're all hopeful for another Superman movie. It's not happening. There's no, nothing was, there was a surprise DC panel that everyone was thinking, oh, maybe it's a surprise announcement about Man of Steel 2 or whatever you want to call it. It ended up being an announcement about Milestone Comics, universe coming back. So there was a lot of stuff in there, and there was a lot of good stuff for fans of DC in general. Like, we're just talking from the Superman point of view. The Wonder Woman 84 trailer was fantastic. It looked amazing. There was a lot of hype for the Batman movie coming out. There was, the Black Adam stuff. There was the Flash designs for his costume and talking about Ben Affleck coming back for that film. So there was a lot of hype and a lot of great stuff that came out. It was more movie orientated. The Hall of Heroes was really more movies and video games. There were the TV and comic book stuff will come out September 12th.
Yeah, and I think the only reason it's as disappointing as it is, because if they had not announced a schedule and then we got, then there's less room to argue there, because it's like, well, they didn't say they were going to do it. We just assumed they were going to do it. But when you make an announcement and say, we're doing this, 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 and this, and, here is the Superman content, here is the Batman content, here's this content, at that point, you are creating expectations within the audience. It is never easy to let your audience down. And it could be that they literally bit off more than they can chew. Again, I have no inside knowledge of this. This is just me guessing. But the way it scaled back and the way it did was, I don't think they could pull off what they had promised, which is a little disappointing. Does this have to do with the layoffs that were announced? It very well might. There could have been all kinds of plans. But I honestly think probably one of the, again, this is just guessing, they probably stress test the equipment like a week or so before and went, oh my God, we have no ability to do this. Because think about it, you're saying it's not like you have a paywall and only the people that pay are going to get in. So that's going to decrease the amount of people trying to get in or trying to watch this. Mm-hmm. And then you're going to say, it's going to be all over the world. Everybody in the world can watch this. You just went from an audience of potentially several million to probably nearly 1 billion. Just
true.
7 billion people on the planet. So it's just this is so indicative of DC Comics in general. Like, they promise stuff and then they just fail on delivering it.
The other thing that was really weird was the Superman Man of Tomorrow stuff. They, admittedly, we said yes, it would probably be stupid to show the film live for free for everybody. That didn't make sense, so we understood them pulling that. But then the Man of Tomorrow panel was also pulled from the schedule and then shown the next day on IGN.com.
Yeah, it's again, this is the thing, is that you promised so much, you only delivered half of it, and then you have the argument amongst the fans that are like, well, just because you didn't get what you wanted, you were disappointed, which is almost like saying, but I got what I wanted, so it's okay. I mean, I watched the Suicide Squad trailer, and I went, I kind of want to watch that movie. That looks really cool. The Wonder Woman trailer, again, they kind of gloomed it up a little bit. I know we're going to be talking about the Justice League trailer separately, so again, I'll save it. But I liked the Black Adam thing because I like Black Adam as a character. So it's just like there are these ways of being excited about it. But it just seems, it seems disingenuous of DC to, or people to defend DC by saying, well, they're doing they're doing it on another day, so this is about DC in general, not just your character, whether that be Green Lantern or Flash or Superman. But then it also, like a bunch of people that are like, this was the greatest thing ever. I'm like, are you being a little maybe disingenuous there too? And again, I'm not trying to police fandom, but it seems like that was the greatest thing ever when they promised so much and you didn't deliver. At that point, you got to go, wow, okay, they didn't deliver on a bunch of things, but I really enjoyed what they delivered.
Yeah.
But that wasn't the reaction I saw from a bunch of people. It was, oh my God, this was DC Comics just gave us everything. And I'm like, I think you're saying DC Comics gave me what I wanted. So, and I just want people to be honest with themselves. To jump on that, it is unfair to expect them to announce Man of Steel 2.
Oh,
it's completely unfair.
Yes.
There has been no indication that they're working on that.
Was singing. I think we're back.
Yeah, it was the same.
I think it was Michael's singing. I think delayed the freeze there. So
it wouldn't be the first or last time. But no, secretly I think it was FanDome. Cutting off our feeds.
Yeah.
So.
All right, we're gonna take a quick break and then come back and talk Justice League trailer for the Snyder Cut. Here we go. Oh, that's the wrong button. Where is it? There it is.
We'll be back in a moment with the exciting climax of today's episode. So stand by.
Look, up in the sky.
It's a bird.
It's a plane. No, it's SupermanHomepage.com, the #1 Superman fan site in the world. SupermanHomepage.com, covering the world of Superman from the 1930s to today. News, reviews, rumors, and reports. SupermanHomepage.com for all your Superman comics, TV shows, movies, cartoons, radio shows, and more. Everything you ever wanted to know about the Man of Steel and more. SupermanHomepage.com.
Thanks, Superman Homepage, for all the support over the years. I really appreciate it.
I'm Matt Bomer. I'm the voice of Superman and Superman Unbound, and this is the Superman Homepage.
Right here on Superman Homepage.
Coming from the farthest reaches of the universe to challenge the worst villains on Earth are the most powerful heroes ever in the battle of the Superpowers Collection. Can it be the Supermobile on the attack, the Lexor 7 armed with kryptonite? Will the Supermobile repel those deadly rays?
You bet. Ready for battle. Activate RAM.
New from Kenner's Superpowers Collection. Vehicles and figures with power action, each sold separately. Flying lessons for Penguin, fish bait for Luther. Can the Supermobile defeat the Lexor 7? You decide.
We'll be back in a moment with the exciting climax of today's episode. So stand by.
All right, we're back on WGBS TV Live, where we're going to talk about the Snyder Cut of Justice League. Now, a couple of days out from DC FanDome starting, there was this teaser that was posted, which had a little bit of Superman content in there. I'm just trying to find it right now. Here was the teaser. So there it was. You just saw Henry Cavill shirtless there, having returned from the dead, and we saw all the cyborg, pre-cyborg stuff as when he was a football star, which was cut from the theatrical cut. So really interesting little teaser there. And then on August 22nd, Zack Snyder's Justice League Snyder Cut panel took place. It was a 25-minute thing. Snyder basically started off chatting, answering fans' questions that were posed by the actors themselves, including Henry Cavill. And then he spoke to a couple of the people who are highly involved in the hashtag Release the Snyder Cut movement and raising money for suicide prevention and other things like that. And so it was all pretty sedate, not much really, kind of was dragging on a little bit. And then the moment everyone was waiting for, Snyder released the following trailer for the Snyder Cut of the film, which he revealed will be a 4-parter, 1 hour each, so 4 hours in total. Snyder Cut that will be released on HBO Max in early 2021. And if you don't have HBO Max in your area, like if you're international, then they did reveal that there will be some kind of option for you guys like me to be able to actually get the Snyder Cut of Justice League. So here is I'm going to show you a little bit of the panel, and then we'll show the actual Justice League trailer. So here you have him just talking about or showing his Henry Cavill asking
it's a great
the question.
And
He's
all right.
He was talking to some of the fans
experience,
and then look forward to the actual trailer. Here we go.
Now I've heard there was a secret chord that David played and it pleased the Lord. But you don't really care for music, do you? It goes like this. the minor fall, the major lift, the baffled king composing hallelujah. 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 I did my best, it wasn't much. I couldn't feel, so I tried to touch. I've told the truth, I didn't come to fool you. And even though it all went wrong, I'll stand before the Lord of Song with nothing on my tongue but hallelujah. Hallelujah. Hallelujah.
This guy's probably fought.
So there was the Snyder Cut of the film, the trailer. Look, firstly, the music. Leonard Cohen, Hallelujah. It has a very special meaning for Zach. It was his daughter's favourite song, supposedly. She committed suicide, which is the reason he had to step away from the film and let Joss Whedon take over. People who don't know the song, Where Have You Been? Like, seriously, it's a very famous song.
So here's the thing about that, though. I'm not gonna talk smack about somebody's choice of music, especially if it's based on a loved one who's no longer with us. He also put that in The Watchmen when two characters were having sex. So that song has a very specific meaning in that movie. And then I gotta say, without knowing the context of it, seeing it in this trailer, I'm like, okay, I get where he's coming from, because if you listen to the lyrics of the song and maybe the themes he's exploring in Justice League, I just thought it was an odd. It didn't work for me on that level.
Yeah.
Like I liked the footage. The footage was fine. I'm like, okay, this is interesting. It is everything I expected to see. I mean, there was not like a really big surprise there. My one big nitpick with it is I don't like the black costume.
Yeah.
Which you would think would be the thing that I would love. But again, that costume has a very specific meaning for me as a fan. So seeing it just kind of put in here, and then seeing him with the Justice League at the end in the black costume, I'm like, this isn't a really rousing return of Superman, in my opinion. And then someone's going to at me but Michael, he wore the black costume, at the, during Reign of the Superman. Yes, and then at the end of the Reign of Superman, Supergirl turned it into the regular costume. So at the end, he wasn't in that costume. So is that the scene at the end of him doing the shirt rip? I don't know. We'll find out when we watch all 4 hours of Justice League. It's just, I appreciate that it has special meaning to him. It's just, it
was an odd choice. Context
is everything.
Yeah.
It was just such a weird choice. Other than that, trailer looked pretty good.
It's just weird to me that some of the comments in the live feed that we, for people saying, get somebody else who can sing it better. It's Leonard Cohen's song.
Yeah, I was about to say, whoa. Look, I realize a lot of people probably first experienced that song in Shrek, where it was sung by somebody else, but that is his song. And not only that, that is a very specific version of that song.
Yes.
If I'm correct. It was like a live version that he did something to, if it's the same one he used in Watchmen. So yeah, I just look. Leonard Cohen has a very specific vocal style. You're either on board with it, I get, or not. I get that, but it is his song.
He's talking about the black costume. Zack Snyder soon after actually appeared in a YouTube feed for the Real in Motion channel, where he spoke to the guys there about very many things from the trailer. Here's him talking about the black costume and I'm just gonna and the whole death and return of Superman stuff.
You know, in terms of Superman, and I know you follow comics and stuff like that, and I've been dying to ask you this: if you had the possibility, would you have included the mullet and the beard with the black suit?
Yes, this is the most important question.
By the way, it's a good question. I think
it's a great question.
The beard is a possibility. The mullet,
no.
You know, it's just a tough one. It's hard. It's a hard thing to make look badass. I mean, look, somehow.
Henry Cavill.
You put on some blue blocker sunglasses.
You're the master of. You got the beautiful slow-mo HD shots. It just would have float in the wind, man. Come on, you would have looked great.
In the back, but you know what, mate? Look,
you're off the hook for the mullet though, because they're confirmed in the comics now that it wasn't actually a mullet.
I just think that, like, I mean, look, there's an argument for, like, that when Superman is in the grave, that like the beard grew and the hair grew. I don't know that it grew into a mullet per se. That's
nice and groomed.
When you just kind of do the work. But I also feel like the way we kind of approached it was that, like, he doesn't, you know, his body wouldn't rot, you know, per se, right?
Right,
because of a certain thing that's inside him. Maybe that starts with the codex.
Like, I think his Kryptonian kind of like, you know, biology would prevent him from decaying at the same rate, say, that we would. So you could say that, like, he might decay over like 1,000 years, but it wouldn't be at the same rate, say, as a normal person.
So there he is, just talking about, you know, coming back from the dead, whether or not he'd have long hair and the beard. Well, he didn't actually have a beard in the comics, did he? It was just long hair.
Yeah, the beard is more of, like, the recent animated thing. So, I couldn't really hear what was going on, so I can't comment directly on what he was saying. I am going to say this, though. Dear people who are sitting in front of their computers and have a camera on them, go into your settings, go to the brightness of the screen, and turn it down to about 10. You can still see everything on the screen, I promise you, and you won't have that glow on your face.
So true. Very good. All right, pushing on, as we mentioned, DC had to split everything from DC FanDome into another day on September 12th. If you go to DCFanDome.com, they've got a countdown for the next part, and they have this trailer thanking their fans for what they did with DC FanDome and what's coming up next.
Thanks for watching DC FanDome.
Thank you for watching.
Thank you for watching.
Thank you for watching.
Thanks for watching.
Thank you guys so much.
Thanks for watching.
Thank you for watching.
Thanks for watching. Thank you, everyone, for watching.
Ready? Ready. Okay, let's go.
I am beyond excited to be sharing this moment with you guys. We all get to come together to celebrate us, the fans, and all things DC.
What an incredible way to engage with the fans.
Wow.
Wow. Just wow.
This piece really stood out to me. Your use of color and texture, that's the kind of stuff I love. God, you guys are talented.
I saw it on the shelves. It's like, ooh, those are characters of color. That's different.
When my daughter saw Gal as Wonder Woman, she said, I finally get what Wonder Woman means to everyone.
It's power from art. You empowered us.
That's when I realized that being different was my superpower.
for this moment for a very long time.
You have, as they say, dropped a mic.
Oh,
So to recap,
I'm super pumped.
Beat it, spandex!
What it look like, y'all?
I couldn't stop laughing. I was crying laughter.
Ready your bodies.
On Buffman. Exclusive content.
Zack Snyder, man.
Look, it's Superman.
Yeah.
thank you for watching.
Thank you for watching.
Thank you for watching.
Thank you for watching.
Thanks for watching. Thank you for watching.
Thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching.
Vielen Dank fürs Zuschauen. Thank you for watching.
Thank you guys very much for watching.
Thanks for watching.
Thank you for watching, my friends.
Thank you so much for watching.
Thanks for watching.
You made this possible. So thank you.
So there you have it. I didn't realize it was that long, but they were announcing the September 12th and thanking fans for watching DC FanDome on August 22nd. Again, using a lot of Superman material there. And we look forward to certain panels on September 12th that will include Superman and Lois TV series, a panel titled Superman, an Enduring Hope, Symbol of Hope, and other things that will be both. There's a radio series thing where guys like Tim Daly and that will be doing a live voice thing of reading a Superman radio script. That will be fun. Deceased, Injustice, other stuff from the comic book side of things. So September 12th, be there.
Dear AT&T, Warner Brothers, and DC Comics, I will pay for you to get the cast of the animated series together to reenact old Superman radio serials. I will pay for that. I'm just saying.
I'm with you. All right, Superman Man of Tomorrow, as we said, the world premiere didn't happen on DC FanDome, which makes sense, but it is available for digital download now if you want to purchase that. And the DC FanDome panel did not happen on August 25th either. They decided to, August 22nd, they decided to postpone that and then release it on IGN.com for some reason. And here's a little bit of that panel.
I feel like you already answered this, but what specific themes did you want to explore and how will fans see those play out?
Well, I mean, the biggest thing is, I sat down and I thought, knowing the kind of movie, Butch and Jim and I were talking about making and Chris, that, I thought, well, what can I bring to this, as a writer? And I think for me, the thing that's most interesting about Superman isn't necessarily how he affects us in the world, but how the world affects him. And
so there's just a little bit of the panel talking about how Superman is affected by the world, and it's a really interesting interview with the director there and other cast members. So if you want to check that out, head to our website. The full video is up there, and it goes for 45 minutes, so it's well worth the time spent. What were you laughing at? You were looking very closely there.
I was just fascinated that dude had the first issue of the Supergirl miniseries from like 1994. That was part of like that World of Tomorrow, I think, or something like that. Because it's when they launched Superboy Steel, and they had a Supergirl miniseries, and we had that. It was just like, okay, of all of the comics to have, that is not the one that I would say like somebody would be like, nope, that's the one I'm putting up. I mean, it's a gorgeous cover, but it's just an odd choice. So I get really distracted by stuff in the background when they have tchotchkes behind them.
Also on August 22nd, which was a weird choice, the Wizard World Virtual Experience 2020 Smallville panel took place. Tom Welling, Kristen Krug, Michael Rosenbaum, Erica Durance, Laura Vandervoort, Sam Witwer, and Alan Richardson all participated in a free live Q&A panel, which went for 1 hour. That's all up on our website too if you want to check that out. It was really fun to watch and listen to them guys talk about their experience, their careers, other projects they've worked on, and answering some fan questions. And it's really interesting to hear Sam Witwer talk about how Tom Welling was the kind of gold standard that they all used when they were feeling tired and depressed and really couldn't be up for a scene because they'd been waiting so many hours out of their trailer to get there. And Tom's been working all day, and yet he's all chipper and really upbeat. And that was really interesting to hear how Sam Witwer was inspired by Tom's resilience.
That is cool to hear. I like Sam Witwer. He seems like a nice guy.
Bibbo's thoughts on DC FanDome.
Not enough of my favorite.
All right, quickly, this is what's available this week for Superman fans in the world of comic books. We start with Action Comics 1024, which is available in this very cool variant cover. We also have Batman Superman number 11, which is also available in a variant cover. Also out this week is Legion of Superheroes number 8, which also comes in a variant cover. Did Dark Knight's Death Metal number 2 second printing, Dark Knight's Death Metal number 3 second printing, Deceased Unkillables hardcover, Justice League Unlimited Galactic Justice trade paperback, and the one Michael was hoping to get but won't be delivered until Thursday, Superman the Man of Steel Volume 1 hardcover.
Yeah, they're just keeping it from me.
Yes. They're
fine.
They're teasing you.
I'm fine.
Sadly, we didn't get to talk about the Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League video game as time is running out, but the trailer for that is up on the website. We spoke about it a little bit. You know what to expect. So head to our website to check that out in full. But we have run out of time for tonight's show. That is pretty much for us. But before we do sign off, anything you want to finish off with, Michael?
I wish I had something prepared. I actually had like the This Week in History, but we have no time for that. So
not at all.
But yeah, just hopefully the next round will be stuff we can actually talk about and have fun.
Discussing,
commenting on. The Tuesday after.
Let's hope so. Well, we will be back next week for another edition of WGBS TV Live. We're back on Tuesday, September 1st at 7:30 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time. For that, until then, be sure to check out supermanhomepage.com for all your daily news updates on everything surrounding the Man of Steel. The 1 hour video of tonight's show will remain available on our YouTube channel and our website if you'd like to watch it back in full. A huge thank you to our sponsors and patrons, Douglas Meacham, Tina Murray, John Patrick Van Pelt. And if you want to sponsor the Superman homepage, please head to patreon.com/Superman homepage. You can become a sponsor for as little as $1. You might also like to become a Superman homepage YouTube member. All you have to do is click on the join button below. But I'm Steve Eunice. For now, on behalf of myself and Michael Bailey, thanks for watching WGBS TV Live, brought to you by supermanhomepage.com.
Look! We'll be back in a moment with the exciting climax of today's episode. So stand by.